Welcome to Prime 9, the countdown show that covers the very best in baseball. Guaranteed to start arguments, not end them. This week it's the 9 greatest closers of all time. Why 9? That's baseball. 9 players, 9 innings, Prime 9. There are no special ground rules to this show. It is specifically about guys who are best epitomized by 2 words: game over.
Struck him out, and that's the ball game.
That's right, we're talking closers. Pitchers who specialize in saving games. It's a relatively new role. In fact, the save statistic itself wasn't even introduced to the game until 1969. Since then, 2 men have more than 1,000 saves between them.
500 saves. 500, count them.
But does that put them first and second on our list? Well, you'll have to wait and see. So, without further ado, here are the top 9 closers of all time, starting with number 9 on Prime 9.
His motion was so unorthodox and his ball moved so much onto right-handed hitters that he became almost unhittable.
He started upright, but he threw underhand like one of those girl softball players. He would lean to his right real low, his knuckles would be close to the ground, and he just throw the ball and let it sink.
Clark is down on strikes.
Back in the late 70s and early 80s, there wasn't a lot of submarine-type pitchers. And Quisenberry closing for the Royals was certainly the best one in the game at that time.
Not only did he have pinpoint control, he was just unbelievable.
Quiz led the league in saves 5 times, including a stretch of 4 straight years.
He just had a tremendous knack for inducing ground balls.
We had a nickname for Dan when he pitched for the Royals, 30-30-30. 30 saves, 30 strikeouts, and 30 great plays behind him by Frank White.
Frank White, what a play!
Quisenberry set the Major League record with 45 saves in 1983, and he did so with what seemed like a rubber arm.
I just remember him coming out there all the time. He was just durable. Some guys just take the ball all the time.
And Dan did just that, leading the league in appearances 3 times.
The guy was out there, 60, 70 times every year, just unbelievable. And he wasn't ever blowing. He was like Mr. Consistency there for about 8 or 9 years.
Yeah!
5 of those years, he won the Rolaids Relief Award.
Rolaids never forgets what relief means. And that's why we're so proud to recognize the league's top relief pitcher with this award. This year, Rolaids spells relief, Dan Quisenberry.
And as effective as he was on the mound, he was equally affable off it.
Just a little bit out there, but a lot of times you'll find your closers' makeups are a little bit quirky. It seems to help them be able to take the good with the bad that comes with that role.
He was just an all-around good athlete that had an unorthodox style of pitching.
When you look at the great closers of Major League Baseball, they come in 2 categories. The guys who can just kind of outcraft you, or the guys that just scare the living daylights out of you.
Strike 3, that's the ball game.
Lee Smith was one of those type of players.
Lee's intimidating presence on the mound made him the all-time saves leader from 1993 through 2005.
This was one of the biggest men in all of baseball, and yet he took his time getting to the mound. He wanted everybody to know that this game was over, that Lee Smith was about to take the mound.
He loved to just go right at you. He loved his fastball.
He struck him out. He threw it right by him.
He wasn't scared. Lee was going to get it, throw it, and say, here it is, hit it.
A 7-time All-Star, Smith had 10 seasons with 30 or more saves, the 3rd most ever.
It was fun to watch. He was with the Cubs, and he'd come in, lights out.
I just wanted to make sure that my team depended on me and they feel confident when I come in the game.
It was really a 7-inning ball game. We had to lead after 7. You were going to have to deal with Lee Smith. 90% of the time, you were going to go home a loser.
4 times Lee Smith led the league in saves.
We knew it, and he knew it, and the fans knew it. And it was just, you didn't want to get in that situation where he could close out a game.
Lee Smith records save number 477 a lifetime.
I never dreamed about playing in 400 games, let alone saving that many.
Back in the day, he was at the top of his game and really brought a lot of light on what a closer means to a team and the effectiveness of what closers can do.
Something about that 27th out, man, is just like giving me goosebumps, like right now thinking about that.
Welcome back to Prime 9, featuring the top 9 closers of all time. You've heard the case for both 9 and 8. We now continue with number 7.
Coming in to pitch for the Redbirds, number 42, Bruce Sutter.
He had the ability to not only come in the game and put out fires in the 9th inning, he'd do it in the 8th or even the 7th.
Closing for the Cubs, Cardinals, and Braves, Hall of Famer Bruce Sutter led the league in saves 4 straight years, and he didn't waste any time.
He came at you quick.
Sutter gets the first out in the 9th.
It was something that was very rapid, his windup.
Gets him swinging, and Bruce Sutter has a 1-2-3 inning.
He was outstanding. I would wait until he came in the ball game. I'd stand out and watch him from a center field perspective just to watch and see how that ball moved.
That movement came from Sutter's specialty, the split-fingered fastball.
Watch the bottom fall out of this.
Sutter's fingers were so wide he could spread them, and all of a sudden that ball went straight down, and after that became the famous splitter.
Look at that. That's a tough pitch.
Sutter's splitter revolutionized the game, setting the standard for those who would follow.
That splitter that he had was unbelievable, man. And there wasn't very many guys that could sit on that pitch. You know, they knew it was coming, but they couldn't hit it.
Sutter gets so many hitters out and pitches out of the strike zone. You just can't lay off the split finger.
People would say if it's waist high, don't swing at it.
Well, there goes the bottom again.
It just never happened. It was so much easier said than done.
In just 12 seasons, Bruce saved 300 games, won the Cy Young Award in '79, and won it all in '82.
And that's the winner! A World Series winner for the Cardinals!
Hall of Fame pitcher Rich Goose Gossage was a 9-time All-Star who racked up 310 saves in 22 seasons for 9 different teams.
Struck him out, the Goose with another strong relief appearance.
And like Sutter, Quiz, and Smith, Gossage often pitched more than just 1 inning.
He was a workhorse reliever because many times he would come in a game and pitch 3 innings.
And it falls to Goose Gossage to come on and relieve.
It's over. Strikeout by Gossage.
He's one of those guys that was no nonsense.
Boy, he struck him out. That's one of the worst swings I've seen.
Mano a mano, me against you, I'm coming after you. And he loved that challenge.
Strike 3, Garvey is out on strike.
Through 96 to 98 miles an hour at times.
You're going to get some heat right here in Mr. Goose Gossage.
He was almost like a cult figure. Everybody stayed around for the 9th inning because, Goose would come in from the bullpen.
Goose was the personification of intimidation.
Goose, of them all the relievers, was the most feared.
I never really tried to be intimidating. It was just kind of the way my presence was out there.
Gossage is a menacing-looking right-hander.
You would look at him out there, and he got that Fu Manchu going, and he had this big barrel chest.
And you get arms and elbows and knees and legs coming at you. It's pretty intimidating.
He lived inside on you.
Oh, he felt the pain without getting hit.
He just was letting you know one part of the plate is mine, one part is yours, and if you try to go get mine, I will let you know.
Right off the helmet.
He was just a little bit wild, so he kept you on your toes.
A 94-mile-an-hour fastball.
He just had this edge that he carried with him, and as an opposing hitter, you didn't know if he had his good stuff that day. He always had the same persona when he came to the mound.
He got him. Oh, that ball jumped right over his bat.
It was either you eat or you get eaten. That intimidation factor was just surviving out there, and I wasn't going to get eaten.
Strike 3, and the ball game is over.
Welcome back to Prime 9, featuring the top 9 closers of all time. Dan Quisenberry got things started, followed by Big Lee Smith. Next came Bruce Sutter, and at number 6, Goose, which means it's time for number 5. In his first 12 big league seasons, starter Dennis Eckersley chalked up 151 wins.
If you're a successful starter, you've already experienced what it is to get 3 outs and bring the club in as a winner.
That's why Tony changed Eck's role once he got him in '87, but the new closer was not pleased.
I wasn't a happy camper. I just thought, well, this will just be for maybe a month. Then they're going to come to know that I need to start again, and they never did.
The A's win, and Eckersley gets another save.
All Dennis did was become one of the first and best of the modern-day ninth-inning closers.
I had what you'd call educated cheese, which means I've been around for a long time, and I know how to paint. It's not necessarily velocity.
Strikes him out on 3 pitches.
If you were looking for the fastball, you weren't going to hit a slider. If you were looking for a slider, you weren't going to hit his fastball. It was just a lethal combination, and the fact that he could throw it into a tin cup anywhere on that dish made it really, really tough.
Look at that location.
From 1988 through '92, Eckersley averaged 44 saves with an incredible 1.90 ERA.
He struck him out. Eckersley racks up the save.
And what served him best was his uncanny control.
We interrupt this program to bring you a special report. Dennis Eckersley of the Oakland A's has given up a walk.
For Eckersley, confidence was never a problem.
When he walked over that white line, he believed he can get anybody out.
You know, I felt like when I came into the game, I had to sell the fact that this game was over.
Got him, and the game is over that quickly.
He was brash, he was cocky, he did this when he struck guys out.
Swing and a miss, strike 3.
It looked like I was really, really cocky, but for the most part, that wasn't a cockiness. For me, I was playing off the fear of what was at stake. So that made me really intense, and I brought that out to the mound with me.
Eckersley saved 390 games, won the Cy Young and MVP awards in '92, and was a big part of those dominant A's teams.
Flips to Eckersley, yes, and the A's are the world champions.
The best elite relief pitcher in that era. And he loved being in that position of, I'm here and I'm going to get you out.
Here are the bells. Here comes Trevor Hoffman.
One of the premier relievers in baseball.
No one in the history of the game has more saves than Trevor Hoffman.
Trevor Hoffman probably is setting records that may never be broken.
Trevor Hoffman has become the all-time saves leader in Major League Baseball history.
For him to accumulate as many saves as he has, it's pretty impressive.
This guy makes it look like it's a walk in the park.
And Trevor's tremendous career numbers can be attributed to his devastating fastball changeup combination.
Struck him out, and that's the ball game.
He's able to throw his fastball at any time and his changeup, and when you locate the way Trevor can, you're going to have success.
Tremendous fastball and an awesome changeup.
The changeup is a palm ball grip that allows me to have the same arm speed as my fastball.
Swing and a miss, struck him out.
To try to hit a fastball, regardless of the velocity, and to back it up with a changeup that's like 12 miles an hour or slower is just so difficult to do.
Change, strike 3 ball.
People refer to it as a Bugs Bunny changeup. Know when you're supposed to swing, but then it just never gets there.
Consistency has obviously been a Trevor trademark, and he's worked hard to maintain his success.
Not just as a closer, but as a baseball player in general, one of the most impressive guys I've been around. Obviously, his work ethic is second to none.
Get some blood flow in the legs before we start lifting.
He's relentless in his workout and his routine, and that's why I think he's had so much longevity.
Such dedication has resulted in at least 40 saves in 9 different seasons, another big league first.
500 saves for Trevor Hoffman.
And while he's in no hurry to get there, he appears destined for Cooperstown.
When I think about Trevor Hoffman, there's no doubt in my mind, I think Hall of Famer.
With the numbers and the longevity and the consistency, Trevor Hoffman is my vote.
Until the 50s, the closer role as we know it was a bit undefined. But the evolution took a big step when Hoyt Wilhelm, as manager, realized he had a diamond in the pen.
DeRocher signals for his eighth relief man, Hoyt Wilhelm.
Just seemed like DeRocher kept bringing in games that meant something. So I think there's where the short reliever really started.
Hoyt may come in the 8th inning with the bases loaded and work out of that jam and then pitch the 9th.
His knuckleball pitching allowed the opposition only 3 earned runs in his last 45 innings of relief work.
Hoyt Wilhelm was the greatest knuckleball pitcher that I ever saw.
Medeski strikes out on Wilhelm's darting knuckler.
It's very hard to control the knuckleball, and Wilhelm could. He could throw his knuckleball for strikes, and there weren't many guys that could do that.
Hoyt could also throw his knuckleball every day. In his very first season, he piled up so many innings, he qualified for the ERA title without making a start.
Knuckleball relief ace checked into his 1,000th big league ball game.
If he pitched in the game of baseball today the way it's played, he could pitch in all 162.
Hoyt retired as the all-time leader in both appearances and saves and became the first ever reliever inducted into the Hall of Fame.
He was so outstanding, terrific person, and a remarkable career.
We now return to Prime 9, where this week we're featuring the top 9 closers in the history of the game. Power pitchers, submariners, and some of the most intimidating men ever to take the mound have made our list. So now it's time for the top 2. 2 men we think are the best closers of all time. We begin with number 2.
Fingers is coming off the MVP and Cy Young season of 1981. The ERA of 1.04 in one of the greatest seasons a reliever has ever enjoyed.
Raleigh was amazing. He was just a tremendous reliever. I mean, I don't think people ever give him the due that he deserved.
Well, let's try. For 12 years, Fingers was the all-time leader in saves and finished with 341.
Hit to Cooper's right. He fields it, Fingers covers, and it's over.
He just made all the difference in the world knowing that late inning games were going to be secure with him on the mound. And a lot different than today's games. Raleigh could go out there and get you 5, 6, 7, 8 outs if he needed to.
No pitcher in baseball has more multi-inning saves than Raleigh, which helped make him one of just 4 pitchers ever to have 200 saves and 100 wins.
That's just the way the managers went to me back then. They knew that I could throw 3, 4, 5 innings at a time. And so if there was a jam early in the ball game, I was going to be in the ball game.
10 times Raleigh finished the season with 100 or more innings, the most ever for a reliever. It makes you wonder what might have been.
If Raleigh was pitching right now, and the way they use their relief pitchers right now, 500 saves would not be out of reach for him.
With a career 2.35 ERA and just over 57 postseason innings, Raleigh had the final word in shaping the Oakland dynasty.
The team that they did have, they had a great offensive team that had good pitching, but they had somebody who could shut it down at the end of the day, and it was going to be Raleigh Fingers and no one else.
There's a call, strike 3, Raleigh Fingers.
In the '74 World Series, Raleigh saved 2 games and won another, earning him the Series MVP award, and the A's their 3rd title in a row.
And the A's have done it.
Guy was fearless and very deserving of being one of the few relief pitchers that's in the Hall of Fame.
One of the real pleasures as the managers, when you know that when you get to the 9th, you can just pick up the phone and say, bring in Mo, and you know that you're going to win the game.
As soon as that first note hits of that song, it's almost a feeling of as if the game's already over.
Mariano comes in, you know it's one of your worst nightmares. You got 3 outs left, and you got the best closer in the game coming in.
That's it. Game over. Finish.
He struck him out.
Situation where you're the man and nobody else.
And Mo has been that man for 15 seasons, with at least 40 saves and an ERA under 2 in 6 of them.
What makes Mariano extraordinary are 2 things. Number 1, the longevity. What is even more amazing is the guy throws 1 pitch, and everybody goes to the plate knowing what that 1 pitch is going to be, and yet they still can't hit him.
He struck him out on the cutter.
He knows he's better than you. He just goes ahead and says, here it is, hit it, and most of the time he comes out on top.
That consistent dominance enabled Rivera to become just the 2nd man ever to reach an amazing pitching milestone.
The 500 save for Mariano Rivera.
I'm a guy that I love to win, but I love to do my job, and numbers are just numbers.
You know, every year you go through those 15 years, and Mariano's right at the top of the list when you're talking about the greatest closers. And what he's done in the postseason, I think, is what really separates him from the rest.
No pitcher has appeared in more postseason games than Mo. And there's a wide consensus that the Yankees may not have won all of their last 5 championships without him.
Talking with opposition teams, opposition managers who faced him in those Octobers was that he was the biggest signal difference maker on the New York Yankees.
The proof is in the numbers, for during the Yankees' recent dynasty, Rivera put together a stretch of shutdown baseball that almost defies belief.
When you went into a short series, if you can get the ball to Mariano at the end of the game, then you had a chance to put another ring on your finger.
The New York Yankees, world champions.
I want to be the last guy pitching in the mound.
And he'd get his wish, the only man ever to record the final out of 4 fall classics.
The Yankees are back on top, world champions for the 27th time.
I think he set the bar extremely high as far as expectations for closers. When he's all said and done, he's going to go down as the greatest closer of all time.
We think of Mariano so much as a clutch closer. It's easy to forget that he once started 10 Major League games back in 1995. The only starts in his brilliant career. There are 21 members in the 300 Save Club, and Rivera is one of 15 who also made at least one start. Who made the most? Well, you already met him.
There's a familiar picture, Dennis Eckersley shaking hands with his teammates in the middle of the diamond.
Eck started 361 games before heading to the pen full-time, 100 of them complete games. The other 20 300 Save Club members have just 37 complete games combined. So, is there a reliever in the game today who might someday crack our all-time closer lineup?
Frankie Rodriguez gets another one. That is save number 62.
For that, we'll have to wait and see. That's our Prime 9. What's yours?